Fly Again. Who's the song about?
So I'll speak on that one. That song had some lyrical genesis into losing a friend of mine a number of years ago. And I wasn't quite sure if it was going to be a Seraphonics song as I threw some lyrics together. But that over the course of putting this album together is when my father passed away. And suddenly every word in that song suddenly became like a heartstring.
Yeah, I can feel it. It was a very emotional song.
And it was Jeremy really stepped in to recognize that this was something that was precious, but still being able to carve just along the delicate edges of it, to take something that was a very small, folksy song and to turn it into something that gives me chills and sometimes tears in the eyes when I hear it for the 476th time.
Right.
And I give him infinite credit for his delicacy and his approach with that. And but also for Jose and Sean's performances, because that was not something that could be easily done to what I would have felt would have done it justice, and they nailed it and knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome. And that takes a lot of connection between you guys to be able to pick that up and, like, you know, this is how I can project your emotion into what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And that's awesome.
You know, when it came to that song, you know, he was talking about precious moments. The whole learning process with them, because they sat pretty much every time that I went in to sing with Jeremy, and they were quiet members to that jujitsu match that I was talking about. They just watched and they were like, "Yes, take your lessons."
We all have bruises.
The way it would work is me and Jeremy would work it until we got what he felt was good, and then he would have me redo it 4 or 5 times because he knew by that time I'd get progressively more confident with it, and then I'd start just belting it. However, the end part of that song where I'm just kind of singing, I do it 3 times. We did that 1 time, and they turned it off, and they said, "Yeah, that's it."
That's it. We got it.
Yeah, we got it on the first take.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just give you a little sort of peek behind the songwriting process in that song. It's kind of interesting. Noah comes in, and here's what he says. He says, look, first of all, I knew. Noah and I have been close friends for a long time, so I knew he had lost his father that year. And when you listen to the lyrics, it's very, very clear to me that the lyrics are about loss. And it's very, very clear to me that they're about pain. And it's also very, very clear to me that when he wrote them, they were not about his father. But the execution of this song had become about what had happened in his family over the last year. So I knew that it was important to him. So a lot of times I will go back to Noah and I will say, hey, this line is missing syllables. This line needs another and or but. This line needs a this line needs a that. And I will go back to him and I will sort of, it's almost like a negotiation process where you're like, I need a little more here, I need a little less. Yeah, exactly. And you sort of fight for the song that you hear in your head. I knew that it was very important to him to keep this in there. And there's really 5 stanzas of lyrics. Like, there's not a lot of lyrics in that song, you know. Sons should bury their fathers, too soon you're in the ground. So suddenly we lost you. Wings failed, hope was drowned. You know, the sky was clear the day they left us. The day you left us on earth, my friend. I'd like to believe we'll fly again. And so I was really stuck, I was almost constrained by that in terms of arranging the song. And they said, look, you can't do any more than this. Like, this is what you've got. You've got the first verse, and then you've got the second, you know. So if you're going to build a song out of this, what I want you to do is we're going to build that first verse out. Then for the second verse, we're just going to repeat those same lines. So I'd like to believe we'll fly again. I'd like to believe we'll fly again. And then the chorus part that we wrote, which I felt like it needed a counterpoint. I was concerned that what Noah had in terms of a bass line was going to be a little bit repetitive. So the, you know, Sean's tom part and stuff, it's very reminiscent. If you listen to the old Pearl Jam song Release.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that would be sort of where my inspiration was for coming up with a counterpoint for Noah's bass line. And so we sort of worked that into the middle where you've got those sort of you know, we created those little lines just to make sure that there was something in between the heaviness of Noah's bass lines.
And I think, and I think one of the things that also, when you came in with this very lyrical melodic solo to start the song, instead of going into a guitar solo at the 2/3 point right after the second chorus, instead to bring it in, you start the song with this beautiful little sweet solo, and then work your way back into a more traditional song lyric verse structure. it sort of just takes you out of your expectations, and it just allows it to be something very unique.
Well, and I agree with that. But one of the things you'll notice is that Noah's bass line is very busy. It's a very busy bass line. It's dum da dum da dum da da do da dum da dum da 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 dum. So it doesn't leave a lot of space for a guitar to strum over it, or it just sounds like busy on top of busy.
Is driving it, so
right. So what I wound up having to do is I was like, okay, well, what can also exist in that space? And if you listen to my solo is on the corners of the measures. So it's like bum ba 2 3. Bum, bum, 2, 3. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum, 2, 3. In order to let that busy bass line sort of exist.
You're like accentuating at the end. Like kind of.
Exactly. And that was one of the things. So I always listen to what he's doing, and I try to figure out a way to make sure that the guitar line complements what he's doing and enhances what he's doing, as opposed to they fight for supremacy, sort of, in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about earlier, you guys were talking about with each one of you guys kind of having your lives and music being part of your life, but you have your, it isn't when we were like 20 years old and it was like we want to make it or something. Like I think your priorities are different now. It's about being you. You know who you are now, and you can present that with your music. And it's different than like, we got to make it or we got to do something. And like, I think that's, for me, that's so much more beautiful than these bands that are out there. And which is understandable. They're young, right? But for me, that's what I want to hear. That's what I hear. I want to hear you. What do you have to present with this? Like that experience with your father, your experience with your friend. I want to hear that. That's what connects us as humans and people. And I think we were saying earlier, that's what people need, and that's what people want to hear. Like for me, at least, that's what I want to hear. What's your experience? Let me connect with it through your music, and that's that. I think that's awesome that you guys are able to do that between the four of us, because it's not easy. I know that for a fact. Scotty, I'm sure that is really tough because there is egos, there's things that come in life. Life happens. So, but for people that are like, I know who I am. This is what we're bringing. This is who we are. And to be able to do that as a transformer, all you guys coming together, we're the Seraphonics. That's freaking amazing. That's awesome.
And it's difficult because we are four working professionals.
Right.
Gone through grad school and have professional jobs, families. Right. This is
loans.
This is our I mean, we're not like looking to make it big. We are looking to make something really good. And it was basically like a hobby at this point.
Right.
But we take it a little more seriously than a hobby. I mean, I think Noah and I especially are more like, oh, all right, it's like 80%. That sounds good. Let's go drink. Let's go play other music now, drink at the bar. And Jeremy's like, nope. Right. Jeremy goes, no, it's not ready yet for being out played live. Right. It's not good. We're like, well, it's like a solid A song. He's like, well, it's not an honors A. It's so we got to get this.
He wants that 5
right. when it comes to like what you were saying, being professionals, not looking to get found out and being musicians at the same time with all this other stuff going on in life,
right? And
this is a point that we have had many times, is that you have to make it a priority, and it is hard for us to make it a it's hard because life happens. Life will happen. How many bands have you guys been in with whereas 3 weekends go by that conflicts are conflicting, and then that's it. The band's over.
Exactly.
It's
such a delicate. It's a delicate. That's what I was saying. It's such a delicate ecosystem.
we have a calendar that we put up like when we're going to be out, and we try to do at least one minimum practices, 2 practices. Jeremy's always like, update your calendar, right. And Sundays and Wednesdays are our practice days.
Update the fucking calendar.
And I told both Noah,
all caps.
I told both Noah and Sean respectively that I would like to throw soccer practice in Disney World off the foot of Mount Doom.
And of course, he's in the jiu-jitsu, thing, but that doesn't count.
All right, actually, I'm going to say we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back and do some trivia, but first, you guys have a song you're going to play. Tell us about the song you're going to play.
This will be Faithfully. So I'm going to let Jeremy speak mostly about Faithfully, because this one came and was reinvented about 5 different times as between inception and album version.
Yeah, true story. There are a lot of versions of Faithfully in the sort of Seraphonics vault. Not that anybody cares about the vault, but it exists. And we went through quite a few permutations of this song to get it correct. We're pretty happy with the way it sounds now. I think you're going to enjoy it. We actually did a version of this song just for this podcast that we're going to go ahead and play for you.
All right, so we'll be right back.